Добрый день, уважаемые участники, ученики, готовящиеся к олимпиаде, учителя, готовящие ребят к олимпиаде. Сегодня я бы хотел с вами поделиться информацией о том, как же подготовить школьников и как подготовиться к олимпиаде по английскому языку, в том числе к Всероссийской олимпиаде и к перечневым олимпиадам вузам, потому что система и технология примерно похожи. Данная презентация подготовлена в рамках профильной смены Регионального центра выявления поддержки одарённых детей Республики Саха, Якутия, организована Малой академией наук Республики Саха, Якутия. So, the name of this presentation is the Olympic Ascent, because becoming a winner or the winner in the Olympiad is equal to reaching the very peak, the very heights of the mountain. So this is the example, the analogy that we can draw. So today in our talk we will talk about the motivation, the objectives, the process of preparation, and the sources that we can use. So speaking about the motivation, of course we must know that both for students and for us as teachers, preparing for the Olympiad helps us to boost our level, to become better in our language skills, and also it helps to win a place, a budgetary place at a government university here in Russia. Because as you know, if you become a winner in the final stage of the All-Russian Olympiad, then you receive a budgetary place without any competition. So, what equipment do we need for this ascent, to climb up this high mountain? Of course, the student who wants to prepare must possess these skills and these things. He must be really interested in the language. He must be interested in learning the language, so we call it linguistic curiosity and drive. He must be committed to this, so he can't just start and prepare for the Olympiad 1 month or 1 year. It's a continual process requiring years of preparation. Which is why he must possess strong willpower, get up early in the morning, not to get distracted. So this is a soft skill that we all need to develop, both personally and with the help of our trainers, with the help of our parents. Persistence and regularity as in any job, because it's after all the Olympic ascent. We, students and teachers of English, become like athletes, like Olympic athletes. We need to devote our time and allocate time every year, so every day, to prepare for success. What are the special features of the English Language Olympiad? We focus on studying language. So correspondingly, who wins in the long run? People who know language the best, not people who know the features of the Olympiad the best, the people who know the language the best. Of course, you must know the peculiarities, the features, the criteria of certain tasks, but most importantly, number one is learning the language. The better the language, the better the result. Which is why we have to cover really tons and tons of material, tons of books, audio, tests, and whatnot. There are different sides to improve, because we cannot just read books and expect a victory. We cannot just listen to things, to audiobooks, or watch films, or listen to songs and expect, or we can't just live in an English-speaking environment during summer or during the year and expect a victory in the Olympiad. No, there are certain aspects, and each aspect, listening, reading, use of English, country studies, writing and speaking, they all require certain preparation and certain strategy. And this all requires time and focus. So you need to spend time on improving all of your skills. So let's begin. How do we climb the very peak? We need to bear in mind the main principles of the Olympiad and basically of English language learning. Your knowledge of the language depends on how much language you put in your brain, so to speak. And this is called the input or the receptive skills. So here we need to study and improve our grammar. We, as learners of English, we are non-native speakers, we need to study grammar. Maybe native speakers do not need to study grammar and understand, but we as non-native speakers have to do this because grammar helps us to understand the rules of how language works and how to use language correctly. Next, of course, it's vocabulary, and it is probably more important because your knowing of language depends on how much vocabulary, how many words you know, rather than how well you can implement grammar rules in your sentences. So these things are achieved both through listening, a lot of listening, and a lot of reading. So, which leads us to the next side of our slide, is the output, how well you produce language, both your speaking and writing skills. So if you do a lot of listening and if you do a lot of reading, correspondingly you will possess excellent writing skills and excellent speaking skills. So these things are intertwined. So these are the practical skills, but without a lot of input, you can't possibly have excellent output. So hard work on a regular basis is of course the prerequisite of success. So it's recommended that you need to work 5 hours every day minimum, including weekends, holidays, if you want to become a winner or prize winner of the final stage. If you want to become a winner of the final stage, it's almost an 8 to 8 rule. So you begin as early as 8 in the morning and you finish as late as 8 p.m. in the evening. And only then can you dream of becoming the winner or the absolute winner of series. You need to begin your day with studying English because our brain wakes up with the first activity we do during the day is the activity that our brain will be processing throughout the day. So it's the first hour rule. Summer is not the season for rest and wasting your time and procrastination. It's the season of great self-work. And because after all, in summer we don't have these distractors. We don't have other subjects that we need to prepare for, math, biology. We can spend more time preparing for English. Of course, you must find yourself a clean, quiet workplace and possess all the necessary items at hand. And very important, you need to practice all the language skills every day. So there are 4 language skills: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. And you should practice them all every day, not just, as I said, practice only one of them. You need to keep thinking of how you can make your work even more and more productive every time. You must have certain copybooks. I recommend that you have A4 format copybooks because they don't get lost, first of all, and secondly, you can write things down there, and once you open the page, you can see tables, you can see some mind maps, you can see your own writing, and you can quickly revise what you have written. How do you improve your reading? For the Olympiad, you can't just read graded readers, level 3, 4, 5, and expect any success. No, because all Olympiads, especially the Olympiads for 9th, 10th, 11th grades, they are based on authentic texts. What does it mean? It means that the text that 9th, 10th, and 11th grades will read will mostly be unabridged, real text that native speakers read, and the texts that have not been simplified. That's why our students should get used to reading texts, articles in the original, both from magazines and newspapers. We need to ask them, or we need to read classical literature, of course. And we need to start with abridged books for the lower levels, but then go up the reading ladder, so to speak, and start reading in the original. You can't begin reading the original because if your level of English is elementary, you can't possibly understand unabridged. Your brain will not digest this level and it will take you, you won't last long. So you need to first build on your knowledge persistently. And you need to develop the linguistic guessing. You can't know all the words in English. Even native speakers, they do not know all the words in their own language. So we and native speakers can't possibly expect this from us, but we can develop understanding the words from the context, from the surrounding words, and we can understand what these words mean. We need to keep a regular dictionary, be it an electronic dictionary or in a paper dictionary, of course. It helps because this dictionary becomes your active vocabulary in future. Sometimes you need to translate words, but I recommend that we use English dictionaries, and the words that are hard, that you don't understand even after an English definition, you may wish to translate. This way you will realize what this word means in your language. This could be some abstract words generally. And of course, while you're studying English, you shouldn't study things that you find boring, because after all, learning should bring fun, should bring enjoyment in life, which is why you should be selective about topics. How do you improve listening? Of course, listening to native speakers, watching English TV, channels in English, radio, podcasts. So you should have some applications on your phone. Like VOA stands for Voice of America. It's for learners of English, special website. They have got lessons, they have got newscasts. You should listen to situational dialogues, conversations. And as in every rule, practice makes perfect. The more you do this, the more you practice, the better you become. Grammar and vocabulary. Some of the recommended sources could be the Grammar in Use book by Raymond Murphy. The level is intermediate, but it's aimed at learners of English of intermediate and higher. So it's basically B1, B2 level books. Next one. You should read more to improve your grammar, because your grammar and vocabulary, they can't be learned with units. They should be learned naturally. And you could use the Cambridge in Use series. English collocations in use, English phrasal verbs in use, English phrasal verbs, idioms in use, English pronunciation in use, and grammar in use, vocabulary in use. So these books are called in use series, and they come in 2 or 3 levels. And you should begin with the intermediate levels, of course, and then go to the advanced. And practice makes perfect. How do you improve your writing skills? Of course, you need to begin with a lot of input. You can't possibly write a lot of good creative stories if you do not read creative stories. So you should basically read creative stories from different sources and take some ideas, take some vocabulary from there. And this is the same about other types of tasks. And there are different types of tasks in the Olympiad. You should prepare for them all. There is a proposal, there is a report based on statistics, there is just a report, there are transactional letters, there are letters of application, foreigners against, essays, whatnot. So you need to prepare for them all. And you need to have some active vocabulary for every task of this writing. And of course, you need to find past tasks from the previous Olympiad papers, and do the writing based on those things and those tasks, and submit them to your teacher or to a classmate who can give you feedback on it. As for speaking, of course, it begins with input. So you need to listen a lot and you need to read a lot. When you have got a lot of language in your head, a lot of ideas, a lot of information, correspondingly, you can output it. So you need to develop and work at your pronunciation. It's very important. Sometimes it's neglected, but we know that pronunciation is the Cinderella of language. The better your pronunciation is, the better you will be received, and the higher point you will be given by the members of the jury. Of course, pronunciation is not the most important thing, but it's as important as your clothes. So if your clothes are nice and elegant, you will be received much better than your clothes are dirty or shabby. And you should improve your speaking by reading aloud. You may use some speaking obstacles, we call them. So put a pen in your mouth and speak with the pen in your mouth. After this, your pronunciation, phonetics will come out much clearer. You could imitate English speakers. So listen to a native speaker and produce the same sentence or phrase or word by imitating their pronunciation. And the more you practice, the better. What about some other tips? Of course, every Olympiad winner had a teacher behind them. There is almost no Olympiad winners that prepared on their own without any help at all. So you should have a trainer, should have a coach, somebody who could prepare you. It can be your school teacher, it can be a coach online, the student, a university student who himself was an Olympiad winner in the past, and you have lessons with them in a course or privately. You should do regular testing, do the regular Olympiad papers, or do the regular Cambridge test, FCE, CAE, CPE for the final stage, IELTS, TOEFL, and see your progress, how you go, and analyze your mistakes. It's ideal that if you have got a group so that you can see each other, you can support each other, you can compete against each other in a positive environment. And as I've said, there will be positive competition in a group for you, and you will monitor each other's achievement. You should immerse yourself in English, surround yourself by the English atmosphere. Everything should be set to English, your telephone, your browser, you should think in English, you should create this English speaking environment around you. And if possible, you could find some opportunities to speak with native speakers. You should try to attend English language camps organized by different schools, by different organizations, or by your school, or maybe even initiate such camps. As I said, lots of listening. While going to school, for example, you might go to school 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, so you could spend this precious time on listening, not just wasting your time. You could have an English hobby, a hobby that you do in English, maybe design, and you use some programs in English. And you should fill your free time with English. Some people expect, for example, watching films to develop their English. No, this will not develop your English. This will motivate you to develop your English. And instead of watching the same film in Russian, why not watch it in English? And you should revise and revisit the same books that you have done once. If you have done the vocabulary in use book, upper intermediate once, you think you remember the words? No, you will never remember all of those words. So every year, every half a year, you should revisit those books and revise the vocabulary you learn. The more you revise, the better and the more words you will remember in the long run. And you should remember that the Cambridge, so the Common European Framework, you should know where your level is, so you should sit a placement test. If you begin with B1 level, or you should know that success begins with the advanced level. If you want to become a winner or a prize winner in Всероссийской and in the regional stage, you should possess at least C1 level to stand the competition. So what are the features of the Republican Olympiad? The Republican Olympiad is basically is based on the type tasks of the Cambridge exams that I've mentioned. So you could organize some mock Olympiads and practice all the 4 language skills, as I've said. And in every language skill, you must have the highest score possible. Because the winners are the people who have made almost no mistakes or have made very few mistakes. You should also devote your time to doing some country studies reading about mainly the UK, the USA, and some very basic information about some other English-speaking countries. You should develop your creativity and critical thinking because you will never know what kind of task there might be in the Olympiad. Like last year, in the final stage of the All Russia Olympiad, the task was to write a fairy tale. There has never been a fairy tale before, and many students, though very prepared, they failed because they wrote creative stories instead of fairy tale. They did not include any magic, any magical creatures in their stories, and that's a fail. So some sources, as I've said, some Cambridge book, the first certificate organizer, the Roundup by Virginia Evans. You should use English dictionaries. You should try to buy paperback books because you need to write in them. And you should read some books according to your level or unabridged, and both sometimes. And use some internet sources like BBC, EnglishTips.org, British Council Learning English. And remember the phrase, one can't hit the glass ceiling. There is always scope for improvement. Even if you're the best in your school, there will always be somebody better in the Republic. If you're the best in the Republic, there will always be someone better in the Federation. So you should always strive to be the number one, and only then will you win and become the winner. Thank you very much for your attention.